The tree that dreamed of stars asterisk asterisk, the tree stood at the edge of a quiet meadow, its roots sunk deep into the earth, its branches forever stretching toward the sky. Yet, unlike the other trees that were content with sunlight and rain, this one carried a secret longing. It dreamed of stars every night. When the sky blossomed with constellations, the tree would gaze upward with silent wonder. The stars shimmered like seeds of light scattered across a vast, dark garden, and the tree yearned to touch them. It imagined what it would be like to wear them as blossoms, to let its branches glisten with galaxies instead of leaves. The wind, who often whispered through its branches, asked, "Why do you dream of stars, when the sun already blesses you with golden light?" The tree sighed, its leaves trembling softly. The sun gives warmth, the rain gives life, the soil gives strength, but the stars give dreams. And I want to know what it is like to hold a dream in my branches. The wind chuckled, but also carried the tree's wish into the night sky. The stars listened, for they too were curious about the earthbound dreamer who longed for their touch. One evening, when the moon was a thin silver smile, a star loosened itself from the heavens and drifted down like a glowing seed. It nestled gently upon the highest branch of the tree, where it pulsed with quiet light. The tree trembled with awe. For the first time, it felt the warmth of a dream resting upon its bough, and so it began. One by one, tiny stars would sometimes visit, perching like birds upon its branches, turning the tree into a crown of living constellations. Travelers who passed through the meadow swore they saw a tree of light, a tree that had captured pieces of the sky, but the truth was more beautiful still. The tree had not captured the stars. It had befriended them, and in return, the stars whispered to its secrets of the universe, stories of distant worlds, of comets and galaxies, of the endless dance of light. The tree shared its own stories and returned tales of soil and seasons, of roots and rain. Thus, between heaven and earth, a bridge of wonder grew, asterisk as the years passed. The tree grew tall and strong, yet it never lost its yearning. The stars continued to visit, sometimes in twinkling clusters, sometimes as a single quiet flame that lingered through the night. One winter, when the meadow lay silent under snow, the tree felt a sadness deep in its roots. It wondered if the stars would ever stay, or if they were only fleeting companions, too distant to truly belong. Sensing this sorrow, the oldest star in the sky, a wise, golden star that had watched the universe for ages, sent down a dream. The dream came not as light, but as a voice inside the tree's heart. "You do not need to leave the earth to hold the stars," said the voice. "For each time you dream, a star is born within you." The tree understood at last. Its longing was not to possess the stars, but to become part of their story. And so, instead of wishing for the sky alone, it began to dream of those who walked beneath its branches, the travelers, the children, the lonely souls who wandered into the meadow. When they rested in its shade, tiny sparks of light would brush their thoughts. Some would leave with sudden courage, others with new hope, and some with a dream they had never dared to believe. They never knew that it was the tree who had given them a fragment of starlight. Over time, people began to call it the wishing tree of the meadow. They tied ribbons to its branches, whispered their hopes into its bark, and always, somehow, found the strength to follow their dreams. And though the tree still gazed upward each night, it no longer felt alone. For it had discovered that to dream of stars was not only to reach toward the sky, but also to share their light with the world below. Asterisk seasons turned like pages in a great book, and the meadow changed its colors: green in spring, golden in summer, crimson in autumn, white in winter. Through it all, the tree stood quietly, its heart glowing with the secret gift of dreams. One night, a child came wandering into the meadow. She was small, with eyes bright as moonlight, yet they carried a sadness too deep for someone so young. She sat beneath the tree and whispered, "I wish I could find my place in the world. I feel so small, like I don't belong anywhere." The tree listened, and its branches quivered. Slowly, a star drifted down from the sky, resting gently on the lowest bough. Its light spilled over the child, wrapping her in warmth. In her heart, she felt something stir courage like a hidden flame. She smiled for the first time in many nights. "Thank you," she whispered, though she did not know to whom. She left the meadow carrying that spark, and as she grew older, it guided her. She became a storyteller, weaving tales that carried hope, tales that reminded people of the light inside them. And wherever her stories traveled, the memory of the glowing tree traveled with them. The stars noticed this. They saw how the tree's dreams were no longer only for itself, but for all who sought it. And so they gave the tree a gift. Every 1,000 nights, when the sky was at its darkest, they would send down a rain of stars, tiny meteors that fell like silver petals. The tree caught them gently in its branches, letting their light soak into its wood. Now, its trunk shimmered faintly even in daylight, as though it carried an inner sky. People said the tree had become half earth, half heaven, a bridge not just for dreams, but for love, hope, and wonder, and still. On the quietest nights, if you walk into that meadow and stand beneath its branches, you might hear it whisper, "Dream bravely, little one." For every dream is a star, and the sky is endless. Many years passed, and the meadow became a place of pilgrimage. Travelers came from faraway lands, not only to see the shimmering tree, but to whisper their dreams beneath its glowing branches. Some asked for love, some for courage, some for the strength to heal. The tree never spoke with words, but its light answered in silence, planting quiet stars inside their hearts. One winter's night, when the sky was darker than ink, an old wanderer came. His hair was white as frost, his eyes dim like fading embers. He leaned on his staff and said softly, "Tree of stars, I have wandered the world in search of meaning. I have seen mountains, oceans, and countless skies. Yet I still do not know where I belong. Tell me, wise one, what is the purpose of a life spent searching?" The tree shivered, and the stars above listened. Then, as if the heavens themselves wished to answer, 1,000 streaks of light poured down the great rain of stars. They fell around the meadow, surrounding the wanderer in silver brilliance. He lifted his face, and for the first time in his long journey, tears sparkled in his eyes, not of sorrow, but of wonder, and in that moment, he understood it was not the destination that mattered, but the journey itself, the gathering of dreams, the giving of light along the way. He pressed his palm against the tree's bark, and the tree felt the warmth of his heart. In return, it gave him a final gift, a dream so deep it would follow him beyond the world. When morning came, the wanderer was gone, but his staff remained, leaning against the tree's trunk. And from that staff grew a new sapling, slender and bright. Already stretching toward the heavens, the meadow now held to trees that dreamed of stars. And so the legend began to spread that for every soul who truly listened to their heart, another dream tree might one day awaken, until the whole earth glimmered with starlight. Seasons passed, and the two trees that dreamed of stars grew taller, their branches intertwining like old friends sharing secrets. By day, sunlight danced through their leaves. By night, stars nestled gently among the branches, casting a soft glow across the meadow. One evening, a quiet hush fell over the land. The wind carried whispers from far away, and the stars above twinkled with unusual brilliance. From the horizon, a procession of children came, guided by a mysterious light. Each child carried a small lantern, their faces alight with wonder and hope. They circled the two trees, leaving tiny offerings, ribbons, tiny carved figures, notes with wishes written in delicate handwriting. The trees listened and absorbed each hope, each dream, letting them mingle with the stars in their branches. And then something extraordinary happened. The light of the stars began to descend, not as rain, but as gentle floating orbs. The children laughed as the orbs danced around them, weaving through their hair and wrapping them in warmth. From that night onward, the meadow became a place where dreams walked openly, where the impossible felt near enough to touch. Travelers no longer whispered quietly to the trees. They sang, they danced, they told their stories aloud, and the stars listened, carrying their wishes beyond the sky and the trees. They kept dreaming, not only of stars, but of the hearts they had touched, of the lives they had changed. Every night, their branches sparkled brighter, not just with light from above, but with the countless dreams planted within them. One evening, when the moon hung like a silver coin in the sky. The oldest star hovered above the taller tree and said softly, "You have done more than dream, little tree. You have taught the world to dream too." The tree's leaves shivered with joy. For the first time, it understood fully. Dreams are not meant to stay in the sky, they are meant to bloom in the hearts of those who believe, and so the two trees continued to dream, and the stars continued to visit. And the meadow became a place where hope and light could never fade, where even the smallest heart could touch the sky. Years flowed like a gentle river, and the two trees that dreamed of stars grew ever taller, their branches entwined so closely that they seemed like two halves of a single heart. The meadow had become a sanctuary for all who longed to dream, to wanderers, poets, lost children, and even lonely travelers who had forgotten how to hope. One night, a stranger arrived, cloaked in shadows, carrying a heart heavy with sorrow. He knelt beneath the trees and whispered, "I have chased the world and found nothing but emptiness. Can your light reach one like me?" The trees shimmered with soft anticipation. From the highest branches, stars began to drift down, circling the stranger, wrapping him in a glow that seemed alive. With each touch of light, the weight on his heart lifted, replaced by a feeling he had long forgotten. Wonder. As the stranger rose, he realized he was no longer alone. Around him, hundreds of glowing orbs, fragments of dreams sown by countless visitors, danced like fireflies. In that moment, he understood the truth the trees had always known: dreams are not meant to stay hidden. They are meant to touch others, to ignite hope, to travel beyond the limits of one heart. Moved by this revelation, the stranger began to speak, telling stories of his journeys, of the worlds he had seen and the pain he had carried. Each word became a spark, joining the light of the stars already in the branches. The trees listened, their leaves rustling with joy, their trunks glowing softly with a new kind of brilliance, a brilliance born not only of the heavens, but of the shared dreams of countless souls. The two trees realized something extraordinary that night. They were no longer merely dreamers of stars. They had become keepers of light, guardians of hope, and vessels through which the world's forgotten dreams could shine. From that day on, the meadow was no longer just a place of quiet wonder. It became a living constellation where every whispered wish and every heartfelt story added a new star to the sky. Travelers left not just with memories, but with pieces of the meadow's magic embedded in their heart, species that would grow, bloom, and ripple outward, lighting the world in ways they could never have imagined. And the trees, they continued to reach higher, dreaming ever more boldly of the stars, not just in the heavens above, but in every heart willing to believe. And so, the two trees continued to dream, and the stars continued to visit, and the meadow became a place where hope and light could never fade, where even the smallest heart could touch the sky. The years turned into decades. Yet the two trees that dreamed of stars never stopped reaching upward. Their branches, now heavy with the light of countless stars, seemed to weave the sky into their own tapestry. Travelers came from far and wide, not just to see them, but to leave a piece of their heart within the branches. Every hope, every secret wish, every whispered dream became a seed of light that took root among the stars. One evening, a young girl arrived, carrying a small, faded book of stories. She placed it carefully at the base of the taller tree. "These stories, they are my dreams," she whispered. "I hope someone, somewhere, will read them and believe." The tree's branches quivered, and a shower of starlight drifted down, touching the pages. The stories began to glow, the words shimmering like fireflies caught in moonlight. From that moment, the stories came alive, not only on paper but in the minds and hearts of everyone who touched them. Travelers who read them found courage, hope, and the courage to dream beyond what they had imagined. The two trees realized something extraordinary: dreams, once shared, are never lost. They grow, multiplying in ways even the stars could not have predicted. And so the trees' light became more than a glow, they became a living network of hope, reaching through the meadow, through villages, through forests, across rivers and mountains, connecting every soul who had ever believed. One night, when the sky was deep and endless, The oldest star hovered above the two trees and spoke in a voice that rippled like a gentle wind. You have done more than dream, little ones. You have become the bridge between heaven and earth, between what is and what could be. Your branches hold the world's hope, and your roots carry the wisdom of every heart that has loved and dared. From that day onward, the meadow transformed into a place beyond ordinary time. Travelers who arrived found not just trees, but a living constellation that stretched across the land, whispering dreams into every soul willing to listen. And in return, every person who believed carried a spark of the tree's light into the world, planting new constellations wherever they went. The two trees, entwined like guardians of hope, continued to dream of stars, not just the ones in the sky, but the countless lights they had awakened on earth. And in doing so, they became eternal, a legend whispered in every village, every meadow, every heart that longed to believe. As decades passed, the two trees continued to grow, their branches stretching ever higher, brushing against the night sky. Their light, once a gentle shimmer, now glowed like twin constellations anchored to the earth. Travelers and dreamers visited from every corner of the world, carrying with them whispers of hope, fragments of courage, and seeds of imagination. Each gift left in the branches became part of the tree's living constellation. One night, the moon hung low, silver and full, and a soft wind carried voices from distant lands. Children sang songs of dreams they had never dared speak aloud. Poets recited words that painted the stars themselves. And somewhere, far away, a painter lifted her brush, imagining the two trees glowing across the oceans and mountains, filling the world with light. The oldest star, watching from the heavens, leaned closer than it had ever leaned before. Its voice, soft as starlight, whispered, "You have done more than dream. You have taught the world to see the beauty and hope, to believe in the impossible, and to carry light where darkness once reigned." At that moment, a miracle occurred. The tree's branches began to release tiny glowing seeds. Each seed floated upward, rising like lanterns into the sky. They drifted across forests, cities, and deserts, lighting up the world with scattered stars that carried the dreams of everyone who had ever touched the trees. The meadow became more than a place, it became a gateway, a living bridge between earth and sky. Every dreamer who arrived found that their own hopes could take flight, and every star that fell reminded them that even the smallest spark could illuminate the darkest night. And the two trees, they continued to reach higher, dreaming of stars not only in the heavens above, but in every heart that believed in light, in hope, and in the magic of dreams. Their legend spread from village to village, from generation to generation, until the world itself seemed to glow with the whispers of their ancient, unending dream. Even now, if you find yourself in a quiet meadow on a clear night, you may see their light reflected in the stars. And if you listen carefully, you can hear the trees whisper, "Dream bravely, little one." The sky is only the beginning. Over the years, the magic of the two trees grew beyond the meadow. The glowing seeds they released traveled far and wide, carried by winds, rivers, and the hearts of those who believed. Each seed became a tiny star in a new place, a forest, a village, a lonely mountain top. Wherever someone needed hope, people began to speak of the trees that dreamed of stars as if they were alive everywhere. A child in a distant village saw a glowing sapling sprout in the field where she played. A weary traveler resting on a cliff noticed tiny lights shimmering in the forest below. In every corner of the world touched by the tree's magic, people found courage to dream, to heal, and to imagine a life they had never dared to hope for. One night, the two original trees in the meadow felt something extraordinary. Their branches quivered, not from wind, but from a deep, gentle pulse, a rhythm like the heartbeat of the earth itself. The stars above seemed to bend closer, forming new constellations, swirling patterns that mirrored the tree's glowing branches. The oldest star spoke again, its voice carrying through the night. "Your dream has grown. Not only have you touched hearts, but you have woven a network of light across the world. Every dream shared becomes a star. Every heart inspired becomes a branch reaching toward the sky. The dream has become larger than you ever imagined. The trees shimmered, and for the first time, they felt their roots stretching not only into the soil, but into the hearts of people everywhere. They realized that dreaming was no longer just their gift, it was a living force, growing through everyone who believed in hope. And so the legend spread. Wherever a dreamer whispered their hope, a tiny star would descend, a sapling would grow, or a light would shine in the darkness. The world itself began to resemble the meadow, a vast constellation of connected hearts bound by dreams, hope, and the magic of two trees that dared to reach for the stars. Even now, if you look at the night sky, you might see them not as ordinary stars, but as the shining proof that dreams, once shared, can light the entire world. As the years unfolded, the two trees in the meadow grew taller and brighter than ever, their branches now heavy with the light of countless stars. The seeds they had scattered across the world had taken root in every land, growing into new dream trees, each one glowing with its own constellation of hopes. Soon, the earth itself shimmered with the quiet brilliance of shared dreams. One night, as the sky hung vast and endless above the meadow, the trees felt a new stirring in their roots. It was a gentle vibration, like the heartbeat of the world itself. The stars above leaned closer, twinkling with urgency and joy. Then, as if carried by the breath of the universe, a soft voice spoke. "You have done more than dream. You have awakened the hearts of the world. It is time to become part of the sky itself." The trees shivered with wonder. Their branches lifted higher than ever before, their leaves glowing like lanterns. Slowly, their trunks began to shimmer and stretch, dissolving into light. The stars descended, embracing the trees, and for a moment, the meadow was filled with a brilliance so pure it felt like the world was holding its breath. When the light settled, the two trees were gone, but in their place, the night sky held two new constellations unlike any seen before. Travelers across the earth gazed upward in awe. Wherever the starlight touched, new dreams were born. Every glowing sapling, every seed of hope planted by the original trees, now shone brighter, connected across continents, oceans, and mountains, forming a web of light that would never fade. And so, the trees that dreamed of stars became eternal. Not bound to the earth, yet never leaving it, they lived in every heart willing to believe, whispering, "Dream boldly, little one. The universe is vast, and your hope is part of it. Reach for the stars, for they are yours to touch." From that night onward, the world itself became a meadow of light, and the story of the two trees who dared to dream of stars was told wherever dreams were cherished, inspiring generations to come. Even after the two trees had become constellations, their presence was still felt in the quietest corners of the world. In small villages, children would wake in the night to see faint glimmers on the horizon, and though they did not know why, their hearts felt braver. In lonely forests, travelers resting beneath ordinary trees sometimes felt the brush of starlight against their cheeks, carrying the memory of hope. One evening, a young woman arrived at the meadow, now empty of the original trees but alive with faint traces of their magic. She knelt on the soft grass and whispered a wish. "I hope I can bring light to those who have none." A single seed of starlight, unseen by her eyes, stirred beneath the earth. It pulsed gently, and she felt a warmth bloom in her chest. She did not know it yet, but that seed would grow into a tree, a new dream tree, carrying the magic of the first two. And so the cycle continued. Every heart that believed, every hope that dared to speak, every act of courage or kindness became a star in the sky, a seed in the earth. The constellations that were once the trees now watched over the world, and in their light, dreams took root, grew, and multiplied. The story of the trees that dreamed of stars lived on, not just in books or songs, but in every whispered wish, every quiet act of bravery, every spark of imagination. And if you walk alone in a meadow under a clear night sky, you may feel it too. The soft, enduring glow of two dream trees that reached for the stars, and in doing so, taught the world how to dream. The stars are endless, the dreams are endless, and the trees, though unseen, are forever near. Whispering softly, reach for the light, nurture your dreams, And know that even the smallest hope can shine across the universe. Asterisk long after the original trees became constellations, the meadow was no longer empty. From the seeds of starlight they had scattered, new trees had begun to grow smaller at first, delicate and fragile, yet shimmering faintly with the memory of the two dreamers. A child came one night, drawn by the faint glow between the grass and the shadows. She knelt beside the smallest sapling and whispered, "I have dreams too. Will you help me reach them?" The sapling's leaves shivered, and tiny sparks of starlight danced along its branches. The child laughed softly, feeling courage bloom in her chest. She did not yet know the magic she had awakened, but the tree did. It held the same yearning and the same hope as its ancestors, and slowly the dream trees multiplied. Each new tree carried within it the light of those who had dared to believe. In every corner of the world, from quiet forests to bustling towns, a sapling of hope could now take root, glowing faintly under the night sky, the constellations above once the two original trees watched over them all. Their light a gentle reminder that dreams never truly fade. Even in the darkest nights, even when hearts felt heavy, the stars whispered softly, "Keep dreaming, keep reaching." For every dream nurtured on earth is a star in the sky, and every heart that believes carries the light of the universe, and so the story continued. Endlessly, dream trees growing, stars shining, hearts daring to hope, and the world slowly transforming into a living constellation of dreams forever touched by the courage of two trees that once simply dreamed of stars. Asterisk over time, the small dream trees grew into a vast forest, each tree glowing softly with the light of the stars it carried. The forest became a sanctuary, not just for wanderers and dreamers, but for every soul who longed to believe in something greater than themselves. People came from faraway lands to walk among the glowing trees. Some left whispers of hope in the leaves. Others carried away tiny seeds of starlight, planting them wherever they went. Slowly, the magic spread across the world, and the night sky seemed fuller, richer, as if it were reflecting the dreams of everyone who had ever dared to hope. One night, under a sky brighter than any before, the original constellations of the two trees shimmered with extraordinary brilliance. Their light reached the forest below, touching every branch, every leaf, and every seed. The trees in the forest shivered in joy, their glow merging with the stars above, and for a brief, perfect moment, the earth and sky seemed one dot from that moment on. The dream trees were no longer bound to any single place. Wherever a heart dreamed, wherever a hope was whispered, a small tree might appear, glowing faintly with starlight. The magic was endless, and the story of the first two trees became legend, woven into every new dream. And still, if you wander into a quiet meadow or a dark forest under a clear night sky, you may see them, glowing trees rising silently from the earth, carrying stars in their branches. And hear, if you listen closely, the soft, eternal whisper, "Dream boldly, nurture hope, let your light reach the heavens," for every heart that believes is a star in the universe. The world had become a living constellation, a place where dreams and stars danced together forever, and the two trees that had once simply dreamed of stars had taught the entire world how to do the same. Asterisk.